What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. And today I want to discuss how really psychology, understanding about psychology and really improving yourself. And this is something that Dan Coe talks about all the time. And he recently put out a post about how business, working on your own business and ways in which you can follow your curiosity in order to serve others, but also monetize and create value in return for being compensated monetarily for that. How that is actually a spiritual path, and it's actually a path of, I don't know if you want to use the word enlightenment, but is a path in which you will grow and evolve and self-actualize, become the highest version of yourself, become the best version of yourself, which is what this whole channel is about, right? And I talk a lot about the law of assumption and Neville Goddard's teachings on this channel because they resonate with me, first of all, but also there seems to be a big hunger for that currently. I think people are looking to tap in. People are now aware of energy. People are very aware and accepting that when our thoughts and reality are intertwined. And anybody that's successful in business, in life, they're using these practices and these principles that we can talk about in the manifestation community or in self-improvement or in psychology even, and they're using them to their advantage whether they are conscious of their use or not. And all roads, all kinds of teachings, all emerging science, holographic theory, and even religion, certain aspects of religion at least, and if you look at the true meanings behind them, kind of reading between the lines and some of the things that were taken out of the Bible and what have you, are all pointing towards the same thing. And what's interesting about all of this is that, like I said, along this path, if you are working on your business, for example, or working on self-improvement, you're going to, at a certain point, come to the same conclusion. I see certain wealthy people like Alex Hormozy saying that affirmations don't work. And it may be that for him, they didn't work. And he says that he likes to build evidence of something to be true. And I agree with that as well. But I also personally have experienced that along the path of building that evidence, that affirmations have worked for me to build that evidence. I have affirmed things such as me being, everybody loves me, right? And going out into social situations or situations in which I'm interacting with people, found that to be the case. But I have also put in work learning about psychology, learning about communication, and what have you. I've also learned the skill of sales, and I'm currently staying with one of my friends who is extremely proficient in sales. And in fact, if you can hear on the background right now, he's actually on a sales call right now, as is my other friend who's staying here. That's what they do for a living. They're generating their income from, not only do they do sales, but they're also leading teams of other sales reps, which are then bringing in more income for them as well. So all of these different things, leadership skills, sales, they're all part of self-growth, self-actualization, right? They're all about you coming and rising to that higher version of yourself. And you can command a greater salary or greater pay by having these skills and by using them. The fact that they have leadership skills and they're able to manage and lead this team now means that they're able to train them with this skill set, and they're able to scale their business up in a way that they couldn't if it was just them two on the phone all day, right? And so when you're working a job, going in for a salary for a certain potential skill, you have a pay cap and you're trading your time for money. But the way that they're doing it and the way that I'm doing things is we are using our skills, we're using our capabilities, we're using our communication skills, and we're in our leadership skills and whatnot. And we are now creating an opportunity to scale a business so that we're not necessarily trading our time directly for money, but we are being compensated for the value that we're able to create. Because when they have a team of people going out and they're all making sales calls, they're getting money from that, right? Because they've had the wherewithal, the resourcefulness to go out, train these people, create success for them, allow them to be successful in the art of sales, the skill of sales, and now benefit from that as well. And so what I'm going to leave this this video off with is a post from the Neville Goddard subreddit, which kind of encompasses that, like I said, going through this self-improvement journey, this self-development journey, as you reach higher and higher levels in your mindset and in your life and the person that you are, the more money that you'll be able to command, and also the more that you will learn that what we're talking about on this channel is true, and it is being proven on multiple different fronts, like emerging science, like I mentioned, quantum physics. And as you progress in your self-development path, Dan Coe talks about this a lot, but self-development is a vehicle, and working on yourself and working on business, working on a way to, like I said, generate money and create value for others in a way that is sustaining and fulfilling for you, is a path of self-growth. And let's just take a look at this post right here. So for non-believers, emerging science, holographic theory, and even religion all point to the same thing. Like other people, I started off with simple law of attraction techniques, not law of assumption. As I started diving deeper into Neville's teachings, I started to see some correlations between what current science is finding out about reality, how consciousness affects physical matter, and how the Bible could be an instruction manual for controlling said reality rather than a theological education system. So, quoted Mark 11:24, "All things whatsoever ye pray and ask for, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them." Christianity says things are not within our control, yet the Bible states the complete opposite. It doesn't say maybe you'll get what you want, or sometimes. It says that whatever you pray for, you will get. One of the things that stood out to me the most is a discussion I had with a friend of mine who said, we are God. If we are God in human form, then whenever the Bible refers to God, replace it with your name. That's one way of looking at things. I don't personally resonate so much with the biblical stuff because I did go to a Lutheran school when I was younger, but I wasn't very much immersed to the point where I truly give myself to that idea. I think that a lot of the times when we create labels and when we say, oh, we think this way, as like, for example, us as Catholics, we think this way, or us as Protestants, or us as Muslims, we think this way. I think that when you identify, or as a conservative, or as a liberal, when you identify so hardcore with a certain group, I think it then muddies the waters and you're not able to see as clearly reality for what it is in a certain instance. That's my viewpoint on that. So anyways, continuing with this point, Michael Talbot, who theorized the universe is actually a hologram, describes the universe macrocosm is found in the microcosm. You can find the universe in a grain of sand. One of his videos here, which leads to another theory of the universe, that the universe could potentially be a simulation, and if true, could explain why manifestation is possible in the first place. And I actually sent an email out to, I know you've probably seen, I've been having these conversations on my channel. I sent an email out to Tom Campbell, who worked at the Monroe Institute for many years and has a model of reality that is based on this, that reality is a simulation. And he has a lot of interesting evidence pointing in this direction. Anyway, so I talked to his PR lady, Donna, and she said that he was going to get back to me. He's a little bit busy at the moment, but I'm very excited to have a conversation with him. So anyways, moving on, the double slit experiment, which is explained easy, and I've talked about this before. I have a video, I'm going to leave it up here for you guys, which is all about the science behind manifestation, where I go in depth on all these different topics relating to quantum physics and the science that proves how real these things actually are. Describes an experiment where waves collapse into particles when there was an observer in place, a measuring device in this case. Here, Greg Braden talks about the Lost Gospel of Thomas, where Jesus explains how to use the law by combining thought and emotion into a powerful electromagnetic force that radiates from the heart, affecting physical matter. How he turned water into wine and fish into loaves of bread. Yeah, and this guy, Doc Childress, I don't know what his name is off the top of my head, but the Heart Math Institute, what is his name? Heart Math Doc. He talks about this a lot. Doc Schilder. Okay. There is like such a strong force from the heart, and again, it's up in this video that I linked up here. It goes into more detail, and they have heart measuring devices now where you can synchronize like heart and brain coherence, and there is you know, you've seen people with the Aura rings to measure their sleep and things like that. There are ways that we now have to measure these things and measure our brain waves and measure, like I said, the heart coherence with the brain that the Heart Math Institute has now come up with. And again, I would be very interested in trying that device. I can't say that I ever have, and I've never attended one of their things in person, but I have read up a lot on their findings and their books, and it's very, very fascinating. So here we go. A CIA document released in 2003 gives us insight on how reality is not real and everything is a projection, the gateway experience. Again, I talk about that in this video that I mentioned. Emerging research is now suggesting there is a retroactive change whenever an observation is made. And interference patterns change to their original state after they've been observed, what Neville refers to as revision. And there is a link here called the quantum eraser. And I'm going to leave a link to this post down below so that you guys can check out the links if you are interested in doing further research on these topics. I could continue listing more examples, but I think I've made my point. Science is only now beginning to catch up to what religion has been teaching for thousands of years. The world is an illusion. We are the macrocosm packed into a microcosmic box of flesh, and we have the ability to influence matter. I rest my case. So, the top comment on this. I love this. As somebody who's in the field of neuroscience and psychology and behavioral science, there's actually a lot of crossover between sciences and mysticism. And this is exactly what I was talking about with Naya, and I'll leave a link to our conversation up here for you guys to check out, about how really all of this is the same stuff. She grew up with a background in witchcraft, but there's backgrounds of Christianity, there's backgrounds of neuroscience, psychology, and really all of it points to the fact that with our thoughts, with our mind, with our intention, with our energy, we are influencing our reality. And there's different tools and different techniques. We talk about hypnosis. The act of hypnosis is something that we go into all the time throughout the day. We're constantly being hypnotized by our environment. We hear a song, we hear a bird. Somebody says something to us that's maybe a bit confusing. It's funny because my friend last night, we were talking about this. I told him in sales, when he's on these sales calls and talking to people, he's using NLP as a form of hypnosis without even consciously doing it. He'll say something to somebody that's a little bit confusing. It's like a pattern interrupt. And my friend was telling me that he watched this video of a guy getting a traffic ticket from a cop by asking him something in a certain way, like, oh, but like, where are the directions for this place? And I'm fascinated by this as well. So I'm gonna find the video, and if I can find the video, I'll link it down below for you guys to check out too. But the cop just kind of freezes, and he's just like, it's that way. And then like lets him go without giving him the ticket, right? And these things, you see these things happen. I saw my friend back in 2014, 10 years ago now, it's crazy that it's been that long, literally hypnotize the people on the way in to just let him in for free. And you know, he says things with such authority and such a like, oh yeah, like you didn't know this type of conviction, that it works in the way that I could liken it to what we talk about here on, you know, mindset and intention. The intention is such that, yeah, like this is, you know, I belong here, right? That the thought behind it is kind of just like, yeah, like I belong inside of Ultra in that instance, or yeah, like I need the directions for this. Like this is, no, yeah, like this is what I need. And this is like, it's just crazy because there's so much that goes into this stuff. And like I said, hypnosis and all of this, but I think that like by embodying that powerful being that you know that you are, then you will run into situations where you kind of notice that reality kind of conforms around you to your benefit, or to your liking, or to your benefit and the good of others around you, right? If you put out that intention. And like I said, with my conversation with Naya, it was very, very awesome because we really were just talking about all of this and how it all, like I said, is the same type of thing. And you could even go as far as to say that, yeah, like by observing it, you're using this quantum eraser technique that they're mentioning here, which is like the interference patterns return to their original state. And that's what's happening when in these situations I'm talking about, where you're making a sales call or talking to the cop and getting out of the traffic ticket, right? And because your belief is so strong that like what you're saying is that you're not in the wrong, you're not guilty, you're not taking on that. Sometimes like what happens when like people will try to make you feel guilty, they'll try to point the finger at you and point the blame at you, and if you're just like, no, like I did nothing wrong though, you don't have to assume that guilt. Because people will do that. They'll try to put guilt onto you and shame onto you, and it's a manipulative tactic, and you don't have to do it. You know, if you really do feel bad about something, you can apologize. I'm not saying not to do that as well, but you don't have to assume this guilt just because somebody's putting it on you. Anyways, guys, there's so much that I could say about this. Like this conversation, I could literally do an entire podcast series over the entire next year talking about, and maybe I will, to be honest, because it sounds fascinating to me. Like the intersection of science, psychology, communication, with all of these spiritual topics is absolutely fascinating to me. But with that being said, much love as always. I hope that you found some value in this video. Drop me a like if you haven't already, and hit me with a subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.